So let me create a new form, Ajax, and let me create it as a startup page. So now here in ASP.NET, right? So by default, in versions which are above 3.0, I mean, if you're using Visual Studio 2008 and above, right? So you'll have these Ajax extensions installed by default, or else you will have to, if you're using 2005 or the before version of Visual Developer, right? Then you have to install your Ajax extensions exclusively, which you will get from ASP.NET site, right? So anyways, if you're using 2008 and above, right, your extensions, which are Ajax extensions, will be by default will be loaded in here in Toolbox, right? Now, so here you can see there are few main extensions which are very important, which is Script Manager, right? So this is a one which actually takes care of Ajax call, right? And whenever in any page, if you want to have Ajax call, right, you should have at least one script manager being loaded, and you should have only one script manager, right, to handle Ajax calls for the complete page, right? So before starting Ajax call, right, so let's actually get a few let's see different behavior on data first, and then we'll see that part. So let me select few text boxes here. And let's have one text box, and let me take one more text box so that we can see the variation of page rendering. Yeah. And let me take the text box here. Then let me take a button. So let's say I have text boxes, text box 1, 2, 3, right? And let me take more text box to make it more clear. Right, text box 4, and we have a simple button, right? So let's go to page load, and let's say in page load I'll assign my text boxes with the date time, right? So all three text boxes as such. Let's go to text box 2 text as date time dot now dot question. Have text box 3 dot text. So what we're doing is we're just we're getting the current date time in our page. So in here for button, let's click on this so that we can get some event, right? So let's run this first and see what is the behavior of a page. Now you can see you have all the same time. So whenever you post back, right, a page, when you click on a post back, so everything, I mean the date time, but everything will be changing across, right? Your page number, which occurs. Now here, whenever you're actually doing some post back, right, all the complete page is being rendered, right? Which means you can see there are 4 different controls and different stuffs here, right? And you have all the things changing. So let me take a few more labels and show you how it works. So here, let me just take a simple table. We'll have a row, and let's have a cell here. And let's say we are complete this div of things are in one here, right? And let's say you have one more table. Right, where let's say I have simple tr and td, and in this td let me just select a few more labels, and I'll show you how it is going to affect. Let me take the labels here. So let's say I have 3 different labels I have here. Now here, let's say you have 1, 2, 3, and let me just take few PRs so that it will be, and let me call these 2 tables inside a single div. Now this is something in HTML I should talk about. I'm actually keeping this in a separate division so that I can actually make the styling as text align to center. Right? So now let's take all these labels again and let's assign the date label for this. So we have a label 1, the text. So I'm just showing this to actually make you understand that whenever you post back, right, or whenever you actually do the rendering part, whenever you do post back, the whole page will be rendered as such. And we are going to see how to make it partial. Label 3. If you run this, so now you have different labels in here, right? You can see whenever I refresh, right, the whole page gets refreshed anyways. But whenever I am using button and doing the refresh part, right, you can see they are actually getting refreshed. Right? Now this is how it is rendering, where you can see different part of, the complete page is getting refreshed. Now this is what happens in our real time, that the complete page is rendered. Now using Ajax, we can actually make a certain part of page to get rendered rather than rendering the complete page as such. So let's say when I click on this button, my main intention was to update, let's say, only text box 4, nothing else, right? But you can see the complete page is being rendered, right? So let's see how we can actually differentiate that part using our Ajax. Now let's go back here. So this is your this is div we have, right? So now we are going to use Ajax. So where, as I said, so every page should have at least one script manager to handle the Ajax calls, right? Now, whatever part you want to keep it as a partial rendering, right? So that part you can actually update in your update panel. We have something called update panel here. Now this will make sure that all the calls, whatever you make inside this panel, right, update panel, will be rendered only till that part. Whatever you have here, let's say if you have these 2. Now in update panel, you have 2 things called, one is a content template and triggers. Let's see content template first, and then we'll see the triggers part. Now this content template is something where you can actually take all your content, let's say. So let's say I have actually assigned my text box and the button over here, which means when I click on this button, right, whatever is there in this specific update panel will be updated only. Let's see how it is going to work, and then I'll explain you the update panel, I think. So for the first time, the whole page will be initialized. Now you can see the same time. But when I click now to the button, now you can see, right, whole page is not rendered, right? Only the text box which you are intended to update, right, will be updated, right? On your post back, it will make sure that the update panel will make sure whatever controls are registered with this update panel inside your content template, right? You can see there is text box 4 and your button. Let's say I also have text box 3 written here inside this, right? So we just made this text box 3 also in update panel. Let's come back and refresh completely. Now for the first time, right, it will actually load everything. Now whenever you do your post backs, right, now you can see only the controls which are registered with your update panel get updated, right? And now, why they are actually getting updated? Because even your button is registered, your button and the event on the button is automatically registered here. As soon as you keep your button controlled inside the update panel, right? Which means even your triggers are registered here with your update panel. And whenever you do any action or raise any event, then your script manager will take care that that event postback happens only to the controls registered with your update panel. That's how the Ajax works. Now, let's say your button control is out of your update panel, then what happens? Right? Let's say you have hundreds of controls where your, a few things you have actually made it, available for update panel. Yeah. The script manager, right, will actually take care of Ajax calls. Now, this is something. See, you can actually create any number of update panels. So I have created one update panel here, right? You can, in this way, you can create any number. We'll create one more update panel as such, but all these update panels are mainly registered with your one script manager here, right? And whenever you, let's say from update panel 1, if you click your button, right, now your script manager will know that, okay, a postback happened from your update panel 1, control which contains in update panel 1. Then it will make sure that whatever controls you have registered with update panel 1 will actually get the postback event, and it will be refreshed. Instead of updating the whole page, it will actually make sure that part of page is updated. This is something where your partial page is getting updated, and for that your multiple update panels will be registered with the script manager, and the event, whatever happens in that particular update panel, will be registered over there. I'll show you more. So even before taking that, okay, that was a good question. Let me just create one more button here. Let me create one more button here, and so let me create a button here, and let me break it up. Right. So let's run this. When I click on this, right, see what happens, right? Everything get populated, right? Because this is something which is this button, irrespective of whether you have a controls inside update panel or anything, right? My intention is to render complete page, and it does that. But when I click on this, you can see the page is not getting completely refreshed. Can you see this? Whenever I click, your JavaScript, which is your user interface, stays still, but your rendering part is done. The postback happens and your data is refreshed. Same way, but when I click on this button, you can see the complete page is rendering. Now, when I click on this, you can actually notice this part, right? Your progress part. You can see the progress is happening. But you can see here, when I click on this postback, you can see it is not actually going into progress, because your update panel, the script manager will make sure that the postback happens silently, right? Which means your two things are happening asynchronously. The UI will stay still, but your postback happens, and your user will not get a feel that you are actually doing some action. But when you do the same thing which is out of Ajax, you can see the complete page will be refreshed. But it doesn't happen with your Ajax. Now, let's say I'll place this button and some labels into some other update panel. Let's do that. Now we'll understand how the script manager works. Let me take update panel. Let me just make this. Let's say I have one more update panel. You can see update panel 2, where I'm going to create one more content template. So this you can't add your controls directly to update panel. You have to use either content template or triggers. We'll see triggers part once we are done with this. Right. Now here you have your label 3 and the button 2 registered with update panel. Let's run this now. Right. Now when I click on this, you can see that your time, right, whatever are registered with the update panel, right, are getting updated, right. Now when I click on this again, you can see only the update panels which are registered with the script manager, right, will be updated, which means the controls which you have placed on update panels, right, will get registered with the script manager. And whenever you even the controls, I mean, whenever let's say this button is in update panel, that's the reason why it is actually updating everything. Now we were talking about keeping this button outside, right? Let's do that. Let me keep one button. Let's say this button I'm actually going to keep out of panel. Update panel. Now then let me run this. Your one button is in update panel and your another button is out of your update panel. Now you can see when I click on this, still your update panel works. But when I click on this, see, again your complete page will get rendered. Right? But click on this, only all the update panels will be registered with script manager, and whatever page or whatever controls you have registered with those update panels, only those controls will be post back refreshed. Now content also, you can see the page completely is not getting rendered. Now here there is one more thing. Let's say whatever controls, if you keep all the controls outside the button, outside your update panel also, you can actually make the click event registered. Now which means this button is out of my update panel, but I can actually make the action of this button to update only my certain controls. How to do that? So that can be done using triggers. We have triggers where you can actually add your async postback trigger. You can select your control ID. Let's say my button 1 is a control which I want to be. I want to handle its action. Now which action you want to use? Let's say click. The click action I want to edit. Now with this trigger, right, even if your button is outside your update panel, see how it works. Now you have your now anyways we know that this is directly in update panel, but see what happens here. When I click on this, now this button is out of all the update panels, right? But even then the action of this button, right, is actually happening only for the buttons which are registered with the script manager, right? So this is how you can actually create. Now here in this way, whatever web part you want to create, right, you can actually create web part inside. If you want to register with update panel, you can register, or else you can actually keep it out, right? So in this way you can actually keep your items, right? You can actually create any number of update panels, but what is making sure only control registered with update panel is getting rendered is your script manager, right? All your update panels will be finally registered. That's why you should have only one script manager per page. There should not be any conflict on script manager, right? So now this will work for all update panels as such. Now if you keep any of the label, let's say I'm going to keep this one label in one more update panel, you can keep that. If you want to register with script manager, yes, you can do that. So here let me take up a content template and let's keep this one label inside this. I'm not going to do anything else, right? So that I want to make I want to render that the data of that control asynchronously. Now when I click on this, you can see even this starts postback, right? So this is something which is doing some Ajax calls, right, and you are rendering things separately. Now the same thing happens when you do it for other controls. We have seen only for button, right? So let's see one more control. Let me just select using, yeah, let's take a drop down list maybe, right? I'm actually keeping this drop down list outside the update panel, and let me call a PR over here. So to this drop down, let's say auto postback is true, and let's select some data source. We do have data source, no, okay, let's set. Why text box? Just a moment, Shavanti, let me add this up so that I can run and show you it again. So let me just add SQL source with the dot handle functions to, you don't have to. And let's select students, right? And next, test query, we have everything here, right? So here, let's say finish. Now in this, I want to show student name in drop down list. Click OK. Now this is bounded. Now, so Shavanti is asking, now when you click on button 2, why your text box, I mean these text boxes are refreshed. Am I right, Shavanti? Is that what you're asking? Yeah. Now, as I said, you can create multiple update panels, right? Multiple update panels inside which you are actually creating button or different controls. But for script manager, it will actually consider as one big update panel where all your controls, whatever you are placing inside that, have to be refreshed, have to be as a one part. Only those controls will be refreshed apart. Now that's the reason why you can see button 2 is in update panel 2, right? Which means your control is already there in update panel, which means your button 2 event will be registered with your script panel, which means whatever controls are registered with the update panel will be refreshed. That is the reason why whenever you click on button 2, even your control which is in update panel 1 will be refreshed. Fine. So that answers your question, Shavanti. See, the main use of creating more update panels is, see, whatever part in web page, see, the main usage of update panel is, see, your page will be huge, right? See, in your page, there will be multiple contents, right? So, whatever content, you may need to update each part of your content, right? A part of page you want to update, right? Then you can actually use your update panel. Now, as I'm actually updating everything, right, I can check based on the part, I mean, based on the response I'm getting. Let's say when I click on this button, right, I know that these things are updating because in postback I'm updating everything. But on button click, let's say on second button click, let's say you want to update only labels. Yeah, you can do that. Right? It all depends on the logic you're writing. Right? Based on the event here, right? When I click on this button, right? Let me show you something here. So the question which you have asked, let me just show you that. So in this button click, let's say I am updating labels, or let's say I'm actually updating the, let's say, all labels. Rather, when I do this, everything will be updated. In general, let's run this once. When I click on this, even your text box will be updated because we haven't, I haven't used post back here. Let me use not use post back event. Right? You can see now when I click on this button too, right? I have this, these things registered. What I'm doing on button click action, as I'm doing certain things, you can see only that part will be updated. Why? Because these controls are registered, but on the click action, right? What I'm doing, I'm actually updating that part only. Now, why even your text boxes were updating is no. Yes, I mean these controls are also part of the update panel, but we are updating all the things at a time in our page load. That's the reason why everything was loading. But if you distinguish between your parts, right? Now let's say this is your one part including a button, and these everything are some other part. Now when I click on this button, you can see nothing will be updated. Why? Because on this button click you are not doing any action here, and you are not updating anything here, right? But if you don't use this post back, everything will be updated, and that too, whatever controls are registered with update panel will be updated. That's it. But if you don't do that, now let's say I'm going to take this text boxes thing here, which means when I click on this button, I'm only updating my text boxes which are registered with update panel. And now let me run this. So for the first time, when our page loads, it will update everything. I'll show you that. Right, for the first time, everything will be same. When I click on this, see, only your text boxes will be updated. Now, anyways, but in my button click, what I'm doing, I'm actually trying to update everything, right? But you can see whatever are registered will be updated. Same way, which means obviously you're creating a part, right? A part of your things you're actually creating, and you can actually distinguish this based on your logic you're writing, right? Maybe on one button click I can update all labels. On some other button click, maybe I can refresh my text boxes. Fine, Shanti? So that answers your question. Okay, perfect. Now, see here, what I'm doing, I'm actually updating my, this combo box, drop-down list actually, right? When I update my drop-down list, right, when I'm saying updating, which means I'm actually changing, which means post back action is happening, right? Now you can see, as you do post back action, we know that nothing will get affected because we have kept our text boxes and labels out of post back. But you can see, as soon as you change something here, right? As soon as you're changing some event, the complete page is getting refreshed, right? Now let's take one label here, and so let me take a simple label here. So label 4, let's say, and what I'm going to do here is on selection change, so I'm gonna make label 4.text as your drop down list 1 dot selected item dot text. I'm gonna assign it. Now let's run this. See how it works when you actually include these things in Ajax, right? And once you actually remove it from Ajax. So let's say I'm gonna just use some breaks over here. Let's go back to page and refresh this. We'll get some space over here, right? Now let me just keep it aside. Okay. Now when I change this, right, you can see, yeah, your label is getting refreshed, but the complete page is getting rendered. Now let me just go back to post back, and I can't remove this because if I remove again, you will see the same action of updating. But that's fine. Let's do that. Not a problem. Anyways, I've just removed it, right? So now, as my drop-down list is not registered with the update panel, right? Everything will be refreshed. You'll see that. So here, let me just change this. Now you can see all the controls will get refreshed, including your this. Now let me just put back. I can see here, right? So everything is getting refreshed here because I'm actually updating, everything in my postman. Now, and also you can see the complete page is flickering. Complete page is, everything is getting loaded again, right? Now what I want to do, what is my main intention of this drop-down list? Whenever I change this, I just want to populate my one control, which is my label. That's it. I don't want to make other things to affect, right? So let's see how to do that. Now let's enable this post back again. Now let's go back to page here, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to keep this drop down list in a separate update panel. So let me just take one update panel here. So let me keep a content template, and you can actually get your content here. And I'm just keeping my drop down inside. I will also see when I keep this drop down outside and how to make it trigger. Right, now let me just change. Right, so when I change, you can see post back happens, right, and your data changes. But you can see my complete page is not flickering, or no other controls are getting changed. Right, so whatever I am handling in this event, right, only that part will be. Fine. But we know that all the things are registered to the update panel, but this is different. Fine. So this is how your Ajax happens. Now you can actually apply this to any number of controls as such you have. Fine. So this is about the Ajax which we have. Your mainly script manager and update panels will work, and based on the event you're changing or doing, right, will be affected. Now let's say I will keep the drop down list out of update panel as we have done it for the button, right? So let's see how it works. So as of now, my label is in update panel, but my button, so drop down list is out of update panel, which means the complete post back will happen to the page, right? And it will try to update all the things. Now you can see it will try to update everything. But anyways, all different things will not update because we have actually kept this post back, right? Now you can see your label is assigned, but it is doing the complete post back. Now let's keep this drop down list in a trigger, right? At least we'll register the post back, sync post back to control ID. Let's say it's a drop down list one, right? And event is something which is, you can see if you want to event, you don't have to remember them. Whatever event you are actually, this is actually event, right? Select index change is the event you're doing. You can actually keep that event here. Right, so let's run this. Right, so let me just change. I can see I changed it, right? My data, my page is not getting refreshed, but you can see a post back label will get changed. Let me select something. Then you can see, right? It gets changed. Now, okay, as I'm selecting the same name, that's why you can't see the change here, right? So this is you can change. Now, what is happening? Your complete, trigger event. I've actually made it as a asynchronous. That's why we have used async post back trigger, which means async post back trigger. We are making the post back as a asynchronous. Which post back? This control ID is post back on which event? On this event, because post back happens whenever you select anything in your drop down. That we're actually making asynchronous. That's the reason why whenever you select anything else, you can see your complete page is not getting refreshed, but the part of but the part of your page is getting refreshed. That's it. Right? So this is how it actually works, which is your Ajax. Right? So this is something where you can actually make your part of your page as an asynchronous. Or the same thing you can have in MVC2, which is in different way, but yes, you can have. Now you can see everything works exclusively. Right? They don't have any clash. And you can actually make this as a part of that. In your page, if you make different parts asynchronous, right? then obviously your complete page will not be refreshed. Now you would have seen in some sites like where your results have displayed, or you want to see trading, let's say. In most of the trading sites you will have seen that whenever you select your script, when it is a script it is like a stock, right? Now as when you change the selection of stock, all the parameters like a 52-week high and low, I mean, right, the current market price, right? So how much was up or how much was down today, right? And what are the other competitors for this? Everything, all the data, all your dashboard data will be rendered asynchronously. Where you post, I mean, we are all post back. The post back will not be, rendered for the complete page, right? So post back will be asynchronously triggered only to that part, and whatever you are actually handling in that event will be refreshed. But fortunately, the whole dashboard will be kept in the update panel. Yeah, you can do that actually. You can actually keep the complete page under one update panel. Maybe I would say the complete team. Let's say you're actually keeping in one update panel where whatever you want to actually achieve in post back or in that event will actually appear as if you are not doing some post back event, right? Yeah, you can also do that. You can actually keep your update panel, complete page update in one update panel, so that on specific event, whatever you are doing, that trigger, that event will only be triggered. And make sure that when you are doing update panel for the whole page, make sure you are actually doing the right thing with post back events actually. If you don't keep your is post back, now recently you have seen, right? I mean, just a few minutes back, everything was getting refreshed. I was actually showing that intentionally, but to want to show, even if you don't handle your post back, only controls which are registered with Script Manager will be updated, right? The post back event, whenever you do post back, only, I mean, when I say updated, it is only during post back, not for the complete full refresh. When you actually do a first time entering or full refresh of F5 or refreshing from your any browser refresh, right? The complete page you can see everything will get refreshed. It doesn't matter whether you have your update panel or anything. When I click on refresh, right? That is different issue again, right? Which is a expected behavior. When I refresh my page, I want everything to get in one sync and then do whatever I'm looking for. Right? So this is how we normally work with Ajax in ASP.NET, right? And mainly the good thing here is, the beauty here is that your Ajax extensions are readily available over here, right? They are actually readily available here to actually fill up here. Right? So this is how you can actually work with Ajax, and you can actually create your update panels or script manager. You can keep these anywhere you want. Even if you want to keep for one control out of 1,000 controls in a page, yes, you can do that. Or if you want to make your one control asynchronous event for all the other controls which are rendering, yes, you can do that. Because when you are actually creating a busy page, right, it's always better to use asynchronous calls, right? Let's say in your page, if you are having some in a single page, you have so many controls where user have to enter details, right? Then obviously you should not use synchronous postback, right? Obviously, right? So that is important again. Right, so I'll show you when I say update. I'll show you can actually, let me take a text box again. I'll show you one more simple thing in here. Now let's say this is a TR. Let me take one more TR. Let me say style with px. So here, let me take one more control to show how your Ajax works. So here I have my text box, and I'll take one more label here, label 5. So let's go back here in text box. So I can say auto post back true. and double click on this, you can see text changed. So let me keep text label 5 dot text right as my text box 5 dot text. Right now here what I'm doing is I'm actually making postback for my control, and I'm assigning. Right, you can it doesn't matter, any control you can actually keep it in Ajax. Let's see this control too. So let's say I'm gonna make it apple, and see when I change this and come out of this text box, right, it is actually generating the complete page, right? So it is taking the data. I'm not saying no, but a complete page is getting refreshed. So again the solution is same again. So let's go back to the source. Now you can see here you will have different. You can see these are in one update panel, right? You can actually see that part actually. The update panels. Update panels is different. So let me just drag and drop your update panel here in source. I would prefer to do that in source rather than doing it in a design view. So let me drag and drop update panel, right? And let me make a content update and put text box in there. Run it up now. So here, let me give some data here. Go back now, you can see it will be very smooth as such, right? So let me just click on something, right? Just change something else, right? It will actually change very smoothly, right? Whenever you change something, right, it will actually have that very smoothly. Where your page is not getting refreshed completely, but your postback is happening very slow. Right? In the same way, you can actually keep your text box side. Let's say your text box is not in a update panel, right? But whatever controls need to be triggered asynchronously should be there in content template. But for control triggers, control events, yes, you can actually go with the control ID as text box file. Right, an event is your whatever event you're actually using. Let's say this is using text change, right? Use that text changed event. This is your trigger, and this. Now we have text box. So let's give some name here, right? I can see even now the complete page will not be refreshed, right? The only part, whatever change you want to make, will be right. So that is how the Ajax works, right, in ASP.NET. And this is specific to ASP.NET, right? So you can actually create these, you can use these extensions only in ASPX page, right? We can't use the same extensions in MVC, right? But anyways, in MVC we have different ways how to handle this. We will actually see that part in the next one to MVC. Right? So this is about Ajax you have in ASP.NET, and different ways how to handle them. Right. So this concludes our Ajax part.